So, I want you to imagine for a second that you are holding a tiny, perfect snow globe right in the palm of your hand.
Okay, I can picture that.
But, instead of a little plastic snowman surrounded by that synthetic glitter, you're actually looking into this milky, translucent space.
Right, something totally natural.
Exactly. And inside, it holds what looks literally exactly like a miniature fossilized winter forest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can see these delicate, really intricate black branches, little ferns, maybe even what looks like frost creeping across a window pane.
Which is wild because it's entirely natural, right? Just trapped in stone for millions of years.
Literally millions of years. But the real magic isn't just in how it looks, it's in the fact that this specific stone has been used across all these esoteric traditions to, effectively hack the human nervous system.
Which is quite the claim.
It really is. So today we are cracking open the source material from Crystals by Rob. Specifically, we're looking at a text called Dendritic Chalcedony, the Metaphysical Guide to the Stone of Plenitude.
A fascinating read, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore how this incredibly unique stone bridges physical hard science geology with profound metaphysical lore.
Right. Acting as this tool for grounding, for forced personal growth, and really for navigating life's most chaotic transitions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because first, to really understand the metaphysical claims here, I feel like we need to know what this stone actually is on a geological level.
Yeah, we have to start with the literal foundation.
Well, right. So the base of the stone is chalcedony, which is a microcrystalline type of quartz.
Which is why it usually has that milky white or sort of soft gray background.
Exactly. But the stars of the show are the dendrites. Those are those branch-like inclusions I mentioned earlier.
And it's so important to note that they aren't actually tiny fossilized plants, even though they look exactly like them.
Right, they're just mineral inclusions, almost always made of manganese or iron oxide.
Which points to this just incredible geological process. I mean, millions of years ago, water that was super rich in these heavy metals like the manganese and iron, right, it basically seeped into these tiny microscopic fissures within the quartz. And as the water evaporated, the metals crystallized.
Wow.
Yeah. And because of the structural constraints of those fissures, they were literally forced to grow in these branching fractal patterns.
That is so cool because you see that exact same fractal mathematics in river deltas or the veins of leaves.
Or even in our own nervous systems, yeah.
Exactly. And here it is, locked deep inside a rock. It's a literal blueprint of biological growth, just immortalized in stone.
And because this stone physically mimics those intricate patterns of nature, the ferns, the sprawling roots, the source material argue something really interesting.
Yeah, it says that it naturally translates into a very powerful psychological metaphor.
Right, and an energetic tool for emotional growth.
What's fascinating here is how the text positions Dendritic Chalcedony as the stone of plenitude.
Yeah.
But it completely divorces that idea of abundance from our typical modern definition.
Yeah, because usually when we hear plenitude or abundance, we immediately think of, winning in the lottery.
Or instant success, yeah.
But Rob's metaphysical guide connects it specifically to emotional healing during long-term challenges.
I noticed that. The text talks a lot about using the stone to navigate what it calls slow, arduous transitions.
Which is so countercultural right now. We live in a world that is completely obsessed with instant gratification.
Oh, entirely. We want the quick fix, the life hack, the overnight transformation.
Exactly. And this crystal essentially acts as an anchor, replacing that modern panic with a steady-as-she-goes mindset.
I mean, it's basically the difference between microwaving a frozen dinner and planting an oak tree.
That's a great way to put it.
You aren't going to get a massive, deeply rooted tree in 3 minutes.
Right.
You have to actually endure the seasons.
Right. It takes time.
But I do want to push back on one specific claim the text makes here because it genuinely made me pause.
Ooh, which part?
Well, the source states that this stone, with its slow, creeping energy, is specifically helpful for navigating the tangled branches of complex interpersonal relationships.
Yes. The relationship aspect.
Yeah. And my immediate thought reading that was, well, why would a stone that promotes slow growth be the specific antidote to messy human drama?
I can see why that sounds counterintuitive.
Right, because if you have a toxic boss or a friend who thrives on manufacturing crisis, doesn't adopting a slow mindset just mean you're passively lingering in the drama?
Like you're just putting up with it.
Exactly. Isn't it just a recipe for compliance?
Well, that reaction makes total sense, especially when our cultural instinct is to, immediately cut ties or aggressively confront the problem.
Right. Cut them off.
But looking closer at the mechanism the text describes, it really isn't advocating for passive compliance at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's actually addressing how you internally process that tangle.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we get caught up in interpersonal drama, our default biological reaction is a massive cortisol spike.
Oh, sure. Fight or flight mode.
Exactly. We feel this desperate need to immediately untangle the mess, which usually results in panicked, reactive decisions.
Decisions that just pull the knot tighter, right?
Precisely.
Like firing off that furious text message at 2:00 a.m.
Or engaging in the argument when the other person is clearly just seeking a reaction.
Oh, I've been there.
We all have. But the text clarifies that Dendritic Chalcedony operates by clearing those deep-seated panic-driven fears.
Okay. And what does it replace them with?
It replaces them with what the text calls a quiet, enduring confidence. It forces emotional maturity onto the situation.
Oh, I like that phrasing, emotional maturity.
Right, so the slowness isn't about physically staying in a bad situation. It's about slowing down your own internal nervous system so you can remain intensely centered.
So you're energetically embodying the deep roots of the tree.
Exactly. Because the deeper the root system, the less the trunk sways when the branches are whipped around by a storm.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It provides the quiet confidence to observe the chaos someone else is bringing to your door without letting it compromise your own structural integrity.
So you basically become the immovable object.
Exactly.
But, that emotional panic doesn't just evaporate. I mean, your brain sends that cortisol straight into your bloodstream.
Which is very physical.
Right, which is why this energetic static the text talks about immediately becomes a physical plumbing problem for your body. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
The source material describes Dendritic Chalcedony energetically as a regulator and a purifier that clears blockages in the subtle bodies.
Energetic static is such a vivid phrase, isn't it?
It perfectly captures what modern burnout feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like staring at an inbox with 400 unread emails. Your Slack notifications won't stop pinging.
You're totally paralyzed by choice fatigue.
Yes. And your brain just feels like a computer with 80 browser tabs running. The fan is screaming, and the battery is just violently draining.
And we hold that literal static in our physical tissues, too.
Oh, definitely.
We clench our jaws, we hike our shoulders up to our ears, we develop that generalized, heavy fatigue that, 10 hours of sleep somehow doesn't fix.
Right. The esoteric framework argues that when your energetic body isn't flowing smoothly, your physical body starts to lock up in sympathy.
That's exactly it.
And the text goes a step further and makes a highly specific biological claim here. It says this stone supports the circulatory and lymphatic systems.
Which is a bold claim to make.
Right. Now, the lymphatic system is basically the body's drainage and purification plumbing. It clears out toxins and cellular waste.
Very important stuff.
But unlike the circulatory system, which has the heart to pump blood, the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump.
No pump at all.
It relies entirely on physical movement, deep breathing, and muscular contraction to push that fluid around.
Right.
So is the text suggesting that the stone literally acts like the sap flowing through a tree? Like encouraging a fluid flow of life force by essentially tricking the body into relaxing enough to let the lymph move?
It is absolutely mapping the metaphysical energy directly onto that biological reality.
That's wild.
Think about the nature of tree sap. It doesn't rush. It doesn't surge like a flash flood.
Right, it's thick.
It is a methodical, incredibly dense, nutrient-rich flow that pushes its way into every single microscopic extremity of that organism.
So it's about pacing.
Exactly. Rob's guide suggests that the grounding energy of Dendritic Chalcedony acts through a process of entrainment.
Entrainment, like syncing up.
Right, because the stone vibrates with this slow, dense, earth-based frequency. Keeping it in your auric field coaxingly synchronizes your own internal rhythms to that natural pace.
Ah, so it pulls your nervous system out of fight or flight, the muscles finally unclench, and the lymphatic fluid can actually resume its natural drainage cycle.
Yes, unclogging the pipes through sheer grounded relaxation.
That makes so much sense.
And by establishing that slow, rhythmic flow, the text asserts that you build a resilient energetic shield against environmental stressors.
Because you're not already redlining.
Exactly. If your internal energy is frantic and scattered if you have those 80 browser tabs open, any minor external stressors is going to crash your system completely.
A delayed train or a spilled cup of coffee literally becomes a catastrophe.
But if your energy is moving in a deep grounded flow, external static hits that shield and just bounces off.
You are fundamentally anchored to the Earth's grid.
Right. You're processing the world at the speed of nature rather than the speed of fiber optic internet.
Okay, but if that grounding allows the physical body to clear its static and restore its plumbing, Rob's framework argues that this biological baseline is merely the launch pad.
Oh, it goes much further.
Yeah, for something much more expansive,
Yeah.
because you can't reach the upper atmosphere if your launch pad is built on sand.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text transitions us from the deep roots of the tree all the way up to the highest branches reaching into the cosmos.
Right.
It introduces a highly detailed three-point chakra alignment practice.
And this is where the metaphysical lore gets incredibly intricate.
It really does.
The guide breaks down an alignment using this single stone to connect 3 distinct energy centers. First, there's the root chakra, located at the base of the spine, dealing with earth energy, survival, and stability.
Right, the foundation.
Then the crown chakra, sitting at the very top of the head, acting as the center for universal connection and thought. And then it introduces the soul star chakra.
Now, the soul star chakra is a fascinating element of esoteric anatomy because, well, it's not located on the physical body at all.
Yeah, the text places it roughly 6 to 12 inches above the physical head.
Hovering right up there.
It's described as the gateway to divine consciousness, the repository of your soul's history, and the access point for spiritual ascension.
Heavy stuff.
Extremely. Now, I understand the mechanics of holding a grounding stone in your hand or, placing it on the base of your spine if you're meditating.
It's good physical contact.
I can even wrap my head around resting it on your forehead or the top of your skull. But how are you practically supposed to interact with an energy center that is floating a foot above your physical body?
Right. To understand that, you really have to look at the esoteric concept of the subtle bodies.
Okay.
In these traditions, you aren't just a physical meat suit. You are essentially a Russian nesting doll of energy fields. The etheric body, the astral body, the mental body, which extend outward and form your auric field.
Oh, so it's all connected.
Yes. And the soul star exists within that extended field. The source material from Crystals by Rob provides a very specific visualization practice to bridge the gap between the physical stone and this floating energy center.
So you aren't expected to magically levitate the piece of chalcedony.
No levitation required.
Good to know.
You sit quietly, and you can either physically hold a piece of dendritic chalcedony above your head in that spatial area, or you simply place it nearby and rely on intense visualization.
How does the visualization work?
The practice asks you to imagine a solid architectural beam of pure light. You visualize that light originating up at the soul star chakra, capturing that divine universal blueprint, and then you intentionally pull that light downward.
Pulling it down into the body.
Exactly. It breaches the crown chakra, floods down the spinal column, hits the root chakra, and finally anchors deep into the molten core of the earth. And while performing this energetic pulling, the text suggests a specific affirmation to unlock the soul star. I release all that no longer serves me and align with my divine purpose.
So the stone basically acts as the physical conduit. It's the heavy terrestrial anchor that gives your mind the leverage needed to pull that ethereal, floating cosmic energy down into your actual physical reality.
Exactly. The text is adamant that you cannot safely or effectively access those incredibly high spiritual frequencies without a massive, secure foundation.
Because you just blow a fuse.
Essentially, yes. If a practitioner tries to reach the soul star without a thoroughly grounded root, they don't achieve enlightenment. They just become spacey, disconnected from reality, or energetically scattered.
The nervous system just can't handle the voltage.
Right. Dendritic Chalcedony creates the perfect bridge. Its fundamental message is, we can safely reach the stars, but only because our roots are buried deep in the dirt.
I really want to highlight how vast the spectrum is with this stone. To show just how wide a bridge we are talking about, we really have to look at the specific associations the text provides for these different chakras.
They are fascinating.
Because they are wildly different, and they explain the internal logic of the lore beautifully.
Right. The lists of associations aren't just random esoteric trivia. They map out a very specific journey of energy.
Yeah. So down at the root chakra, the text associates the energy with the earth element. The ruling planets are Saturn and Mars, heavy, structured, forceful, driven energy.
Very grounded.
And the associated herbs are literal roots that you have to pull violently out of the dirt, like ashwagandha, ginger, and turmeric.
Right.
And the spiritual entities associated with the root. gnomes, dwarfs, trolls, and leprechauns.
And the reason the text connects this specifically to terrestrial spirits like gnomes isn't just, a nod to fantasy literature.
No.
No, look at the chemistry. Manganese is a heavy base transition metal forged deep underground under immense geological pressure.
Oh, that makes sense.
Metaphysically, holding a stone full of manganese is literally holding the heavy, structural blueprint of the deep Earth. That is why it maps to Saturn the planetary archetype of boundaries, restriction, and physical structure.
But then you travel up that visualized beam of light to the crown and the soul star chakras, and the associations completely invert.
A total of 180.
The element shifts from Earth to spirit. The planets become Jupiter and Uranus, representing boundless expansion, cosmic change, and the breaking of structures.
Right, breaking away from Saturn.
Exactly. The animals become eagles and ravens, soaring above the landscape. And the associated spirits are sylphs, zephyrs, and fairies of the winds. We literally travel from the trolls digging in the dirt to the zephyrs riding the atmospheric currents, all utilizing the exact same crystal.
And that works because the chalcedony base of the stone is a form of quartz, or silicon dioxide.
Okay, and why does that matter?
Because across almost all metaphysical traditions, clear or milky quartz is regarded as the ultimate amplifier and transmitter of light and cosmic data.
Ah, I see.
So within this single object, you have the heavy Saturnian structural anchor, the manganese dendrites, housed safely inside the expansive, Jupiter-ruled cosmic transmitter of the quartz.
It perfectly encapsulates Rob's view of Dendritic Chalcedony as a stone of organic evolution.
Exactly. It's a complete system.
It is a beautiful, poetic framework, but hovering a foot above our heads with sylphs and eagles sounds like an incredible spiritual retreat, but we do have to wake up the next morning and go to work.
This raises an important question regarding practical integration.
Yeah.
Because how does the listener actually apply this concept of organic evolution and cosmic tree sap to a mundane Tuesday afternoon when the car needs new tires and the electric bill is due?
Thankfully, the guide doesn't just leave us floating in the astral plane. It outlines several highly practical, everyday uses for the stone.
Which is helpful.
Right. For instance, it suggests utilizing a small piece of Dendritic Chalcedony as a worry stone. You carry it in your pocket, and during high-pressure situations like waiting to give a presentation or sitting in traffic when you're late, you physically rub it with your thumb.
Like a grounding technique.
Yeah, the idea is that the physical friction provides tactile feedback that disrupts anxious thought loops, while the slow, grounding frequency of the stone helps lower your heart rate and restore cognitive clarity.
So you are bringing your conscious focus violently back to the physical present moment, breaking the cycle of anticipating future disasters.
Exactly. It also suggests keeping a larger specimen in your office or workspace to encourage the branching out of your career goals and business ventures without succumbing to burnout.
Branching out, like the dendrites.
Right. Or placing a piece directly in your garden soil or next to your indoor houseplants.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. The text claims this fosters communication with the plant kingdom and enhances the vitality of the physical space by creating a sympathetic resonance with the actual root systems growing around it.
It clearly positions the stone as a highly versatile tool for mundane life.
So what does this all mean? Keeping the stone on your desk sounds like having a tiny, silent mentor sitting next to your keyboard.
That's a great way to think about it.
Whenever you feel the urge to panic or rush a delicate project or send an email you will definitely regret, you look at those little tree branches trapped in the stone, and it reminds you to govern your pace.
Slow down. Breathe.
But I do have to push back a little on the sheer variety of practical applications listed in this guide.
Where does the skepticism kick in?
Well, the text says you can put it under your pillow as a sleep aid. You can put it on your desk as a career booster. You bury it in the garden to help your tomatoes grow. It clears your aura. It heals complex emotional trauma.
It does sound like a lot.
Isn't there a massive risk here? If an esoteric tool is prescribed to fix absolutely everything, doesn't it run the risk of essentially doing nothing?
Right.
It starts to feel less like a targeted metaphysical tool and more like an infomercial cure-all from 1995.
That is the most common and really the most valued critique of metaphysical crystal encyclopedias.
Yeah.
If a single rock claims to fix your insomnia, your bank account, and your vegetable garden, the natural response is extreme skepticism.
Right.
But if we look closely at how Rob's text actually explains the function of dendritic chalcedony in all these scenarios, the core mechanism never actually changes.
Walk me through that. How is fixing sleep the exact same mechanism as fixing a career?
Because it is always doing the exact same thing, providing deep grounding, forcing patience onto the nervous system, and reminding the energetic body of the interconnectedness of living systems.
So the tool doesn't change.
The stone isn't changing its job description. You're simply applying that exact same steady earth energy frequency to different turbulent areas of your life.
Oh, I see.
When you put it under your pillow, you aren't using a sleep magic frequency. You are applying heavy grounding energy to an overactive, anxious mind, which subsequently allows the parasympathetic nervous system to take over and facilitate sleep.
And when you put it on your desk,
You're applying that same forced patience to your ambition. It prevents burnout by reminding you that sustainable careers grow like oak trees, not weeds.
right.
When you bury it in the garden, you are simply matching the stone's organic structural frequency with actual biological plants. It's not a magic pill that morphs to perform 100 different tasks.
It's just an anchor.
It's a single, highly specialized tool, a profound anchor that you can choose to drop into any chaotic ocean in your life.
Okay, that completely reframes the practical application for me. It's not changing its nature. We're just changing the context. The anchor is always an anchor, whether you drop it in a shallow lake or a deep raging sea. It requires the user to be highly intentional about where they are deploying that stability.
Exactly. You are the architect directing where that slow, steady energy is needed most in your energetic architecture.
Well, this has been an incredibly labored journey. We started with the hard science of a visually striking piece of geology quartz fissures, slowly filling with intricate manganese dendrites that crystallize into the shape of frozen winter forests.
It really is beautiful.
And we've traveled through its metaphysical applications as a psychological tool for slow, resilient growth. We've examined how it acts as an energetic purifier, clearing out our internal browser tabs by coaxing the lymphatic system out of fight or flight.
Right.
And we unpacked the esoteric mechanics of how it literally bridges the deepest, heaviest earth energies of Saturn with the highest floating divine consciousness of the soul star chakra.
It serves as a masterclass in the sheer power of patience. It's a reminder that in esoteric practice, as in nature, you must firmly establish your roots in the dark before you can safely reach for the light.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, incredibly provocative thought drawn directly from Rob's source material that we haven't even touched on yet. Toward the end of the text, it mentions that these dendritic patterns act as literal spiritual maps.
Spiritual map.
Yeah. And because of this, Dendritic Chalcedony is specifically used by practitioners for ancestral work to identify and heal family tree patterns.
Which introduces an entirely new dimension to the idea of a tangled branch.
It really does. The stone physically looks like a sprawling family tree. And if this stone acts as a metaphysical mirror for the branching, unfolding paths of our soul's history, it asks a really challenging question about the struggles we face today.
Yeah, it's heavy.
I want you to ponder this as you navigate the rest of your week. What if the repetitive, tangled branches you are facing in your current life, those recurring conflicts that never seem to resolve, the toxic relationship dynamics you keep repeating, the sudden anxieties that feel like they come from nowhere, what if they aren't actually your tangles at all?
What if you inherited the knot and you've been blaming yourself for tying it?
What if they are unhealed ancestral patterns, passed down through the subtle bodies across generations, just waiting for someone in the bloodline to finally have the grounded, quiet confidence to trace them all the way back to their origin?
Wow.
The next time you feel completely overwhelmed by the static of modern life, imagine holding that tiny, perfect, fossilized winter forest in the palm of your hand. Look at the intricate branches. Remember how deep the root system goes, and just breathe.
Steady as she goes.
Until next time, keep digging deep.